Okay, okay guys. So I've restarted it now, and I'm not really sure if it's okay. So just let me know if it's still buffering or whatnot. Like I'm not like lagging in game or anything. So double EMPs coming out, killing one HK, and then another one was just flailing about there and got wrecked. So it's still buffering. How interesting. I don't know what to do about that. Yeah, I guess just I guess you could stream the next game if there is one, and I can just leave this one. If it's going to be buffering like this, then there's no point. I could ask Reggie what I could do, but like I could say, this has never happened, so we'll have to see. But actually, Lord Marshall winning in bounty by quite a bit. Like that's an enormous amount of bounty lead he's got there. Yeah. Okay. Now another pause coming out um, from Mama Dalton this time. Well, I'm not sure what the pause really did to this. You know, he can still run away after we unpause. He's just got phantoms, and oh no, he's even got specters and marauders. You know, they'll do really well against that. Yeah, Lord Marshall actually doing extremely well with these HK. It is very professional. A very strong lead there. You know, he's almost got 4,000. Well, he has. No, okay, he's got 3,000 on some other players. 3,300 on Mama Dalton. So he's gone for +6 on the HK. And he's also got the, not the speed upgrades, but the... What are the other upgrades? There's like range. Oh, okay, yes, the range upgrades, and with the range you also get some splash damage. Well, he's got one speed upgrade, and the next one's very expensive, so he's opted out of that. So everybody gets to coach Cons in the Padawan program. Ah. Well, yeah, it's difficult to say really how many HK Lord Marshals are, but I imagine it's not 3,000 worth because they're only 175 to rebuy. So I can't imagine it's really that bad. Oh, we got a 2 this time. Last time it was just 3, and then that's it. Sea Lord needs to stop really playing with just army. It's never really going to work out that well. Saying that, Mama Dalton also coming in with just army. And Kankan not really sure what to do with these crawlers. That sentry is about to go down? No? Yes? Kankan did leave it just to die, so... Oh, but I think, yeah, able to snipe, double snipe a Thor there. So that's pretty rare and pretty handy. Worth the sentry by far, and actually enormous surround of these crawlers, able to kill another Thor and perhaps a sentry. No, it doesn't focus the sentry, but able to kill the Thor, which was the big deal, obviously. One ghost from Kankan does go down. And, actually, thinking about this, if it's buffering on the stream, I doubt it will buffer on the video. So at least the video will be able, I will be able to upload that to YouTube. So we'll see about that, but I'll still stream it and cast it just in case the video will just not buffer and it'll be fine. So in that case, yeah, it's still worth casting it. But that's a shame, obviously. So still, it's very unclear who's going to win because, like I say, although there's a huge bounty lead on Team 4 of Lord Marshall, it's very difficult to say what the real bounty's like. For example, Rayna's lost Thor's as well, so we don't know how low his bounty is either. But Kankan, we know this is quite pure. It's got some tank losses and some sentry losses, but other than that, I don't think he's lost that many ghosts. I don't think he's lost that much in investments at all. So that should be okay. Yeah. Yeah. But we'll see really. This game, it hasn't got air in it, so that's always like if a team does have an air in it, that's where my money usually is. But this game's kind of like a bit more merc focused really. Like, nobody's even really going that heavy into heroes, obviously, because we've got double ghost on 2 teams. So if you do get a hero, you have to be very, very nervous. But Fluffy actually opting for just one of these Colossi. After losing his ghost so many times, he says, okay, I'm going to get a Colossus, but that will just be able to get EMP'd by either side of him, and his army are Stalkers, which have shields, so it's very odd that he's gone for an army that's so weak and susceptible to the EMPs, and actually Xcal dropping Marine Phantoms onto the compound. We always talk about this as being one of the most classical builds, just Phantom drops onto people's compounds. This is like a go-to build for a long time, and Xcal really liked it for some reason. So you literally just go upgrades on your Phantoms and keep dropping them on the enemy's compound. Helps a lot if they rush out these Lancers, because obviously Phantoms do an extra 30% damage to them. So it's an insane amount of DPS that these Phantoms have. Not as OP as the EU ones, because obviously they have a retarded attack speed on there because of a bug, or not a bug, it's just bad balancing, bad developing really. But still extremely strong Phantoms on this map. Weak to the Colossus, of course, so Fluffy, he does have some justification for getting the Colossus, but like I say, with double ghost on either side of him, he can't really go out that far because he's worried about getting EMP'd or sniped. And if the EMP misses, it'll still probably hit a bunch of Stalkers and take off 170 health off of these Stalkers, because of course the EMP will do 100% drain, I think, on the shields. Kankan engaging these Lancers with just Crawlers, not really sure that's a great idea. Maybe it would have been fine because he's doing the micro. And Fluffy isn't on the Stalkers, but with the Colossus in there, the DPS is heavily favouring Kankan's arc. And Xcal just kind of just skulking the sides here, waiting to drop Fluffy yet again. Nice to see some teamwork from Mamadalton 3D players out here, throwing some Immortals onto the compounds, making sure that the Phantoms aren't too effective, because of course the splash on the Immortals is a natural counter to the Phantoms. So yeah, pretty useful for him to do that. And Fluffy likes to move out most of his army, as you can see here. He's left, he's taken out all of his army and left, basically just the Stalkers that spawn out of his compound. Xcal running in here, very strange to do so. Oh wow, and actually Andrew opting in basically comes in and EMPs every single Stalker of Fluffy's army. Like I say, it knocked off 170 health from like 30 Stalkers. It's an insane amount of actual spell damage. Most people don't consider it to be a spellcaster, but when you throw it against shields, the ghost does become this sort of pseudo magic damage hero, because it's doing so much damage instantly. 170 damage on all of these Stalkers. You have to remember, most of the health of the Stalker is in the shields. It's 170 shields right now and 115 hull HP. So definitely favouring that. So Xcal comes in with these 2 Ravens, throws a Seeker out on some of the Stalkers there, which blink out and dodge the Seeker, and the other Seeker hit an Immortal, which actually managed to get the shields up. So pretty cool to see both active abilities coming out from the Immortals and from the Stalkers, and pretty much preventing the Seeker from getting anything. I think maybe he got 1 Immortal from 2 Seekers, so that was pretty funny. Also very brave of Excal to seek Stalkers, because of course all it took was a scan and a blink, and he risks losing the Ravens altogether. Again, Excal dropping, trying to get the compound but not managing to, leaving it on 560 health, so doesn't actually get any money for himself. Lord Marshall says, oh my god, I'm not sure why. He is remaking some HK. Oh, he's killed his own HK apparently. Well, it happens. Happens to the best of us. You're A-clicking about and you accidentally A-click your own hero. That's very sad, but it does happen. Actually, a Thor coming out from Sea Lord, which is nice. I mean, yeah, he does play T3 hero sometimes, but again, interesting choice. You know, one of the players with the double ghost are on his own team, so there is a good chance that Can will be able to shut down Team 1's double ghost, and actually the Thor will be just fine. Of course, the ghosts are also on the other side of the map, so it's very difficult for Andrew to come over here and deal with this Thor. And otherwise, you know, there isn't anything to kill the Thor, to at least catch the Thor, or deal any burst damage to it, because you've got double Thor from Rainer Man, you've got, what is it, 3 HK from Lord Marshall if he's not killing them himself, and then a Colossus from Fluffy. So nothing really can kill this Thor too well. It's, you know, that was actually able to tank about, you know, 1,500 damage and then just walk out of there. You know, 1,500 is an insane amount of health when you equate it to how many Marauders would have died, you know, instead of that 1,500 health. So, you know, about 8 Marauders would have died. And instead, you know, it's just this Thor that took it. He went back, transfused it a bit, and it's got a pretty decent health regeneration now as well. So that 1,500 health is pretty insignificant, but it equates to 8 Marauders, which is pretty nice. So weird little skirmish coming over here. Yeah, Andrew needs to get out of there because there's 3 HK and 2 Thors and 2 sentries there. So he can't really engage that with his army, but of course he can engage that with his ghost. Can borrowing some crawlers up here to complete the concave, but opts to run away with them for some reason. And actually these Immortals doing quite well. I think they've been fixed, yes. Last time I played Immortals they only had maximum 5.7 range, but as you can see now they do have 6 range, so are able to compete with the other T3 heroes, because of course 5.7 range against 6 does make a huge difference, especially in choke points. So good to see that that's been fixed, and that Immortals are pretty viable again. And Excal continuing basically to just keep dropping Fluffy, because at the very least he's just able to trade very well with these Lancers. But like I said, this teamwork is really nice because these Immortals are now doing some serious damage. This Immortal has 15 kills and this one has 16 kills. Wow, and actually, yeah, okay, so he's got like a group of elites, you know, like Sparta's 300 sort of Immortals over here, each with around 15 kills, and all of these are Phantom Marines from Excal, who's been dropping and trying to kill them. So for 3D players, these Immortals have been extremely cost efficient and effective. And actually, Andrew able to drop and take out the compound, but it's actually only a Spectre compound for 150, so the drop isn't very effective. You know, it's actually pretty useless to keep dropping the Spectre compound, but what it is good is for the Goliaths to fight these Marauders, because of course they hard counter them when the HK aren't there, when the Thors aren't there. This is just nice trading territory, so pretty much the same thing as Excal, just to keep trading with favourable mercs, with your merc. And this team, you know, to shut this down, all you need is literally not even 2, but just 1 tank here. And definitely don't do this, of course, because, you know, once you bunch up the units, you're asking for the Seeker from the Raven. But nice save from Andrew there. Boosts in, drops the Goliaths onto the ground, and prevents Excal's Raven from dying. Excal also opting in to bring his medevac over here now, but they really can't do much against double Thor, because yeah, as you can see, the medevac goes down immediately. Andrew probably wants to recall this out. He does have it, yep, he does recall, but that was pretty slow. You know, he lost a lot of +12s. Once the medevac died, he should have just immediately recall that out, because at the best case scenario he walks out and this army just picks off quite a lot of Goliaths. But the worst case scenario is the force field comes down on any one of these spots here, because it's just one force field to block his army, and the sentries could just walk up very slowly and force field there, because of course the Goliaths have to walk the long way around, and then all of those Goliaths are dead. So the recall needs to happen immediately once you've lost your medevac. You don't really want to. I think it's maybe against human nature to like take a hit to the face like that, because he lost his medevac and he didn't get anything for it at all. So you want to stay in and fight and do something bad to the guy who just killed your medevac, but it's definitely not worth. That's definitely not the right decision to do. You just have to get the hell out of there. It's just 200 minerals, so you just needed to get out of there. EMP coming down on the Colossus. Actually, that's just scary basically, because then you know your Colossus can get sniped very easily, and you know that your Colossus is very soft, very vulnerable, because that's, again, it's 1,000 damage that the EMP just did to this Colossus, which is an insane amount of damage. If you think a Fungal will have done 360-ish at maximum damage, and a Storm as well about that number, it wouldn't have done 1,000 damage, which the EMP does. So the Ghost is very, very good against these shielded units, and it's actually pretty effective to keep just EMPing them, like Andrew is doing here. But very defensive. Top left has to be very defensive. Bottom right has to be defensive, because obviously you've got this double medevac play, and very elite, not elite, merc heavy upgrades from Excal and Andrew. Let's just take a look at the bounty real quick. And Mama Dalton actually catching up very, very well on 9.1k. I'm going to attribute this to the Immortals that he's got here, but of course he's been playing well on the other side as well. And Fluffy on 7.6k, he's lost a lot of ghosts and a compound or two, so he isn't really very high in bounty, in real bounty, and but does get the second Colossus out now to try and deal with all of these specters, phantoms, trying to deal with his compound. And Excal, very slow recall there actually, unable to save that Colossus, but could have very easily. So I don't know really what happened there. Rain asking how does double spawn work, and Fluffy answering very politely, are you retarded? No, that's actually not true. It doesn't give twice as much. No, I think it's 1.5. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 1.5. I mean, it does have a tooltip, so yeah. So increases spawn rate of marines by 50%, not by 100%. Yeah. Double Ravens coming out here, going to clean out this area before Andrew drops onto it. Actually managed to Seeker quite a lot of Andrew's units there, because the Seeker was flying in and so was Andrew's medevac, and Andrew dropped his units and the Seeker arrived just in time to kill half of what dropped out of the medevac, which I'm sure was pretty salty. I'm sure Andrew was pretty salty about that. Colossus coming out, back out for Excal, only has the one, so unable to compete with the DPS from this two. Big engagements coming out from Mama Dalton on the top right. Does drop all of his Immortals in, but everyone's got these T3 heroes out, which are proving quite difficult to kill. So drops are pretty useless if the heroes are already there waiting for the drop, and everyone's kind of retreated to their corners. And this is kind of what you see a lot happens with heroes, because of course heroes, T3 heroes especially, they're worried about getting sniped, double sniped from the ghosts, so they don't want to be out on the map at all. They want to be in their base where it's very easy to spot the ghosts coming in from, all of the very small area where they can come in from. Especially if you've got the photon cannon in there, you're very safe in your base, but as soon as you move out, there could be ghosts anywhere in the vicinity ready to snipe you with their enormous range. So everybody kind of hiding, but actually saying that, Reina goes into the middle of the map, not actually for any real purpose, because he's trying to complete this concave, but of course all that Sea Lord sees there is, okay, I just need to walk away from that. So probably better than actually just to stay in base and let Lord Marshal just trade with Sea Lord, because they actually have very similar strat going on, heroes and marauders. That's all that they're doing, DPS heroes and some marauders. So they just need to trade, and I think they would have traded even in weird concaves. They just want to get some minerals for each other. So probably sometimes it's best not to scare people away, even though of course the engagement would go better if you have a sick concave, but these are pretty decent players here, so they're not just going to sit there and die in a really bad concave. So Excal opting for the second Colossus, so actually now you've seen double heroes on every single team. Double T3 heroes. You've got double Colossus on team 1. You've got double Colossus on team 2. You've got double Thor on team 3 and double Thor on team 4, as well as 3 HK on team 4. And other than that, you've got double Ghosts on 2 players. So this is kind of the meta now. Everybody just spams heroes, and some chunky mercs as well. And just plays from there. Not very many elites coming out. You did have the Ravens coming out from Excal, and the Reapers coming out from Fluffy, Tanks and Sentry coming out from Kankan. But that's only three players really that went even slightly investing into elites. Mama Dalton trying to anticipate this drop from Excal, actually able to get a sick concave on these Phantoms. It just absolutely decimates them with the splash from the Immortals and the shields upgrade coming out from him. Andrew trying to save his ghost there, but doesn't. Although the amount of stalkers that Fluffy blinked up here, that probably totals to around the 200 that Andrew just lost for the team. So not too bad there. Excal getting the clone upgrade on his Colossi, so he'll be able to get 4 little Colossi running about here, 2 of which are just clones, of course. And big drop coming in actually now from Mama Dalton. Again, very nice trades, but a very quick reaction with the Savior from Excal. Mops up all of these Immortals. I really wouldn't say that was worth it, because in 9 minutes that Savior would have been worth 750. So he definitely didn't get. He probably got about 200 minerals there maximum from killing that drop, because I don't think he even killed the medevac, right? Yeah, he didn't even kill the medevac, so definitely not worth it for him to do that Savior. Would have been much better for him to, say, okay, I'm going to go for the clone upgrade, and in that meantime, I'm going to be afraid of drops. So because of course the one of the Colossi are inactive, so I'm just going to go and get some tanks and park them here. And then if the Immortals drop in there, even though they're Immortals, they're tanky. They can't compete with the sick damage from tanks. So he probably would have been better off actually to. Just to get tanks and save that Savior. 2 tanks for 300, and then he can keep that 750 and wouldn't need to defend his compound like that. Saying that, alternatively, he didn't even need the tanks, because Andrew could just camp here with his medevac and Goliaths, because Goliaths soft counter the Immortals, so he would have actually be able to defend that drop without investing anything. A weird little Seeker coming out from Excal, gets 5 Marines, that's 15 bounty for the team. And actually, he took 15 bounty with the Seeker, and then he puts a turret here and feeds 15 to the enemy. So I wouldn't really say that was doing the math. But now Excal does have his all of his Colossi. Huge drop from Mama Dalton here, and again we're seeing the compound is being targeted, but because there's 4 Colossi chomping down on this army, it's not really that effective. The drop just gets decimated really, and only half damage down to yellow health on this compound. So that's the thing. The meta kind of is, if you can drop your enemy's compound, then do it, because the net value of that is still huge. But otherwise, just camp in your corner with a bunch of heroes. You notice Kankan has an enormous amount of crawlers ready, poised here to do some action. We'll see if that's a trap that's going to work anytime soon. There's no obs around on the map, I think, so this could trap some heroes and pick one off, because of course it's a nice net. 300 I believe it is. If you kill a Colossus or a Thor, it's about 350. So yeah, 350 to remake, but I think you only get 300 bounty for killing it, which is interesting. Fluffy leaving his base quite empty. Could be a dangerous drop from Excal. Doesn't have a single upgrade on his Marines yet, which is going to be dangerous for him at sudden death. Although saying that, what do I know? Because everybody's gone double T3 heroes. That logic doesn't really apply that much anymore. But yeah, Raven's actually coming out. If this was a drop, it could have done a bit more. Seeker's coming out. Does get 3 Stalkers and a Marine there. This is fine. Excal's pretty much just waiting for sudden death now. So he's got these Ravens from 4 minutes. So he's managed to keep them alive for 51 minutes effectively. He's just still managing to get some trade from that, some farm rather. Because every time he Seekers, even though he only got 33 bounty, 3 Stalkers and a Marine, that's 33 bounty that he didn't trade with somebody else. He didn't need to give any money to Fluffy to get that 33 bounty. So it's worth it. He's just sitting in base, chrono boosting out Phantoms anyway. Nova coming out from Andrew, very nice choice. Obviously, with the amount of heroes, and like I said, Nova has become much more crucial on this in this current meta than it has ever been. Because, like I say, every single team has at least double T3 heroes, and some teams have even more. Actually, interesting, a corrupt coming out from Reina here. He's got Transfuse and Changelings on there, but obviously the Transfuse is the most important part because he's got these Thors that he can keep keeping alive basically with the extra energy from the Overseer. But it's only got 100 energy really, so I wouldn't really call it that useful still. 100 energy. Maybe if it was buffed to have 150, 200 energy, then it could be a transfuse machine that your support tower didn't need to spend the energy on. So that could be useful, but otherwise, I don't think it's actually worth any money at all right now. And the changeling, players are kind of wary, I think, of where their units are and which units are moving or not. Immediately, a nice lash coming out from Andrew. He could have actually just lifted that Thor up once he saw the animation. He obviously wasn't looking or paying attention to this area because everybody recognizes that little blue bar that comes along and says, "Hello, I'm lashing your units." Just needed to load everything into the medevac and cancel the lash that way. Then of course he would have been able to lash the medevac, but that's at least not the Thor. Medevac instant rebuy 200, Thor 90 seconds, I think it is. Yeah, 90 seconds and 350. So didn't really do the math there, but like I say, I don't think he even noticed that the lash was happening. Alternatively, he could have tried to do the shield and seen if that was enough to block the lash from one-shotting him. But Andrew now, with the Observer to pass on energy over to his Nova, able to energize that Nova back to full energy so he can just keep lashing. The OBS was supposed to be nerfed so that it was only 50 energy that it gave rather than giving it to maximum, because that's a potential of 250 on the Nova and the support tower. Big drop coming out from Mama Dalton. But like I say, I'm not really sure whether the OBS was nerfed. I'll have to keep an eye out on that because perhaps the OBS was nerfed, but the tooltip wasn't updated. So it still says to maximum for sure, but whether it is actually energizing it to maximum or not is a different question. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. So weird PDDs coming out from Excal there. Not actually quite sure if they'll be able to do that much. Oh, actually, yeah, they're low on energy, so they did actually reach. You can see the AOE radius there. It's quite generous, but it's not crazy. I thought maybe if the fight was happening here, it wouldn't have actually been able to do too much. But I suppose they're shooting into the circle, and that's where the projectiles would be and being zapped up by the PDD. So I suppose that's the key thing there. Andrew doing the Andrew, which is why we call this that. He puts all of his Marines onto the ledge there. Actually ends up being quite a feed for the Colossus and Stalkers. And Fluffy just upgrading his Stalkers for now, +7, +3 on his +7 on his Stalkers, +3 on his Colossus, and starting Marines now as well. Yeah, sudden death very important to get the Marines. And now everybody has no saviors and lots of money if they had saviors before. Blinks in to get the Colossus, doesn't manage to get any, but Exco actually pulling his whole army back rather than just the injured Colossus, so not able to mop up all these Stalkers with the army because it was running back. It does lose 2 tanks there, quite silly, really, because they were just parked there. The Colossus saw it and the whole army was there, so that was nice. But I think, yeah, actually, getting a ghost now instead of a second Colossus, getting his ghost back, presumably just to EMP the Nova and prevent further lashes coming down on his Colossus. But of course you have to remember that it's also a game of OBS macro energy farming right now. So if Fluffy isn't using observers, then it doesn't really matter if he's EMPing the Nova and Andrew has 1 or 2 observers back at home to just energize it back to full energy anyway, which is the huge strength of this observer's ability quite currently. Can burrowing 6 crawlers into the mid, taking it. Very nice. He probably will be able to get the money at 40 seconds there. So yeah, Can able to get a nice 100 for him and his ally. So 200 for those 6 crawlers. Very nice little maneuver there. And nobody expects it as well, so you have very little time to react because it's just 6 crawlers burrowing in. You're not going to notice it. You're not really going to look out for small amounts of little shades running along the map there and then taking your mid. But actually now Fluffy's sitting in mid and nobody really contesting it. Everybody kind of too busy taking over their towers, which do give money still. So everybody's obviously still quite keen on getting that. But now Reina chasing Fluffy out of mid, doesn't leave his own units on there though, so isn't going to get the 40-second mark money, but is too worried about his Thor dying, and one does die to the Lash from Andrew, so he's actually able to get at least 2 Thors there, and I think he also killed one of Fluffy's ghosts, so working out really well. Actually has a Nova nuke there, ready to deal some, probably just to scare an army away rather than to actually try and deal damage to it, because the nuke isn't as powerful as it used to be. The AoE is much less. It's going to deal 600 damage, which is pretty sick. That will kill everything, all the mercs, because he's got +7 on it. But the AoE was greatly reduced, I think, because now it's only 150 for the nuke rather than the previous one, which was 300. A big EMP coming out from this ghost from Fluffy, able to EMP all 4 Colossi there, I'll say. And keep Excal at bay for a little bit. This ghost actually only has an EMP in him. He's got all the energy upgrades, so it's only 50 energy. Oh no, he doesn't have all the energy upgrades. So he's got some of the energy upgrades. It's only 50 for an EMP. So he's just going to keep on EMPing these Colossi, I'm guessing. These 2 tanks parked up here, so if a Stalker does jump up there... Oh, this ghost was not cloaked, so he actually just ran up here uncloaked and got immediately shreked. But that was a little distraction, I suppose, for Mabba Dalton to drop in here, but actually unable to get the compound. I think if he just focused that, he would have been able to get it down, because this is late game now. Compounds aren't worth shit, you know, their HP is very, very low, so I think he would have actually been able to take that compound out pretty easily had he just dropped in and with big intent try to focus it. Excal buying his tanks back, because whilst he was defending his compound, Fluffy jumped in here with his Stalkers and took out these 2 tanks, which is always worth it really, because 300, you know, you'd have to lose 30 Stalkers for nothing for that to be not worth it. Able to get another Lash on a Colossus, so actually Fluffy naked now without any T3 heroes. And actually, interestingly, this Mabba Dalton getting a Teddy, which is the Odin, if you're watching with an EU perspective. So the Odin is very interesting. Teddy's quite interesting on this game, because it's unclear really how many upgrades you need to kill the Teddy with a Lash. So we'll see if Andrew would be able to keep the Teddy at bay with his Nova. I imagine he will do, because he's already got you know, +7, so it can't be that he needs like +20 to kill it, or to deal half damage, say. So either way, without EMPs constantly landing on this Nova, it will be quite dangerous for Andrew, who actually now has 2 observers, which is the cap. You're only allowed 2, because otherwise people would have 5 or 10 observers in their base as a little energy farm. So yeah, basically it's looking good for Team 1 right now. I haven't really been paying attention to Team 3. Who have been doing their own thing with the Crawlers and the Marauders. But yeah, everybody's playstyle is pretty much the same right now except for Andrew's, so that's why I'm trying to focus on that. It's either just you know, 1 ghost or 2 ghosts plus T3 heroes, or as Andrew's doing here, it's Nova and T3 heroes. But the bounty is still very much in Lord Marshall's favour. Actually, Reina catching up and surpassing Lord Marshall's bounty. Can quite far behind on 13k. Sea Lord and was that Fluffy, Andrew, Excal, all and Mamadal, all around that 15k mark. But the big ones here is Team 4 is leading quite hard in bounty. But because especially Reina, I think, has lost quite a few Thors, his real bounty is not as high as it would seem, because Andrew is doing very well with this Nova and taking out a lot of key investments from other players. I think that was yet another Thor going down there, unless... Oh no, okay, no. That either was a pickup from the medevac, or just didn't manage to get the Lash on. But yeah, Excal can't really compete with the 3HK here for DPS. Actually, this Thor didn't bother joining that fight, so maybe he did compete, because he had a tank and 2 Colossi, which should deal more damage, I think, than the 3HK. And now a big Teddy coming out here onto Excal's ledge, pushing him off entirely. No one actually has mid right now, which is interesting. You know, that's 200 minerals for a team every 20 seconds, 100 each. So very important to have 3 units on here, because the income from here is going to be more than anything else you could do really, unless you're talking about sniping or lashing big heroes. Excal immediately finding that ghost which just ran over here to park itself, and a big lash coming on down onto this Teddy. Oh wow, actually from 8,000 dealing damage down to 200. with the Nova. Let's see how many upgrades. So he's gone for 2 more than last time I checked. So he's on +9 now, and he did about 8,000 damage to the Odin. It's actually saying 1600 plus 800%, which should do more than 8,000 damage, really. But didn't actually do that much. Maybe there's some small amount of magic percentage, magic resistance on these big heroes or something. But the number at least plus 800% of 1800 damage would have done more than 8,000 damage for sure. So that's interesting. Unless I'm doing really, really bad math there. Nice force fields coming out, but Excal turning around and saying, actually, I don't care because I've got 4 Colossi and I don't really need an army anymore. I've got 4 Colossi with +8 damage. This Colossi alone has 235 damage, and this one has 235 kills. This one has 274 kills. So very decent, 500 kills on these Colossi alone, and is going to take mid as well. So, like I say, it's very difficult to say who's going to win because the bounties won are pretty impossible to deduce who has the highest bounty, because you've got players. Every player has a ton of heroes. Everyone has so much investment in heroes now. Just the amount of Thors. I think that's what. Okay, that's an Odin, so that counts as 2 Thors. Got another 2 Thors top right and another 2 Thors bottom right. So I'm going to count it as 6 Thors. You can count as 4 Thors and a Teddy as well. But in Thor tech, there's an enormous amount of money, and then you've got the HK as well, and then you've got this Nova, and you've got a Ghost from Fluffy, and he actually isn't buying his Colossi back. Oh, okay, maybe he is there. Oh no, he's actually going for another Ghost. He's going for a double Ghost. Presumably that's just to keep EMPing Andrew's Nova, and also these Colossi like I've been talking about. The EMP is extremely effective. Yeah. So, like I say, impossible really to figure out who's going to win this. It's going to come down to mass probably, rather than anything else. Just if a player becomes too cocky or too aggressive and loses all his mass, another player senses that, maybe Andrew or these double ghosts will be able to snipe something and then come in and take out the compound and a CC or something. But it definitely slows down the game a lot when everybody's in their corner with huge masses of heroes. Interesting to talk about Marines here. So, you got War Pigs from Amadalton, and also I think this is War Pigs from Excal. So, War Pigs seem to be the thing to go here. War Pigs, I think, is that double spawn from Fluffy, or is he just not? No, he hasn't increased spawn rate or got any of the morphs, which is an interesting choice because it's such a late game meta right now. Everybody's preparing for the late game, and he still hasn't got double spawn or a morph, which is odd. Kankan actually doesn't have Marines at all, but he is actually not doing that well in bounty. 13k. Some players soon will be doubling his bounty. He's been going for the double ghost. Wow, actually plus 12 upgrades, so he will be able to double snipe quite a lot of things on the map. Perhaps not the Odin, but definitely any Thor and Colossus on the map, and will be able to EMP ghosts to death with the 4 EMPs, because 550 damage with plus 12 with plus 12 hero damage. So that's 1,100 from one ghost alone can do that damage to a hero, and 2,200 damage from 4 EMPs. So enemy ghosts will go down to this, and also with 2,200 damage, he will also probably kill this Colossus as well, because the shields will be instantly drained, and then the damage will be applied. So we'll actually be able to quadruple EMP Colossi, but there is a slight delay on there now, so it's not as scary really. Plus the Colossi are cross, so he's not really going to be able to walk his ghosts across map and get that, because you've got all these tanky heroes. You've got 2 Thors and an Odin on either side of Kankan, and he's just got these 2 ghosts, so he pretty much has to double snipe the Thors, and in order to do that he has to stand there like a dildo for like 10 minutes and hope that they don't even pop the shield at all, and don't scan or don't have an obs, and don't just kill his ghost while they're trying to snipe, because of course he's really far behind in bounty, so his army will melt and there'll just be 2 naked ghosts standing there ready to die. But I mean, he can fight in this concave with 2 ghosts. That would be quite nice, and he's actually able to defend his tower there, although by the looks of things he doesn't actually, he's not actually holding it, so he's not getting any money for it. He does just need to unburrow 1 unit there so that he's holding it, And actually, a big wraparound from Rainaman might be able to get these double ghosts if Kankan doesn't have a recall. Which by this, yeah, he doesn't have a recall, so he's just lost his 2 ghosts. All of his investment is in there, but he's been I'm guessing chrono boosting out these crawlers, which at this point of the game wouldn't be that useful because he's so far behind in bounty. A nuke does come out from Andrew. Like I say, it's never really going to hit anything, but it does scare players away. Slowing down the game even further because no one can really push into Andrew because he's just going to keep nuking them, and unless they can melt the army down really really quickly and move forward, they always have to move backwards or take a nuke to the face. So Andrew will be able to, and it's only 150, so Andrew can actually afford to just keep throwing them out even if he doesn't kill anything. He can, if it means his team won't lose that much mass, it's probably going to end up being worth it. At the very least, stops his team from dying, which is definitely worth it. So we've gone to the ultra late game now, 1 hour 20. Everybody's going to be pretty turtled in with their heroes and such. And like I say, for Kankan to snipe here is going to be very difficult. You need the Nova really because you just run up, get in range of the lash, and once the lash is locked on, something's going to die unless there's some sweet medi micro involved. Or an EMP. But Xgal actually doing quite the push here. Mama Dalton leaving. Did he say why? That's very interesting. He's Xgal doing quite the push, and actually the non-clones are tanking for the clones. But recalling out before he loses. Oh, okay, he's got to go to a birthday party. Fair enough. This game will drag on for quite a long time, so he would have missed that birthday party probably. Yeah, but nice recall from Xgal, not losing any Colossi, but it was a bit dodgy there because the clones were behind the real Colossi, so it would have tanked all the army damage. Unless this is mind games from Xgal saying, okay, snipe the ones in the front because in the back because they'll be the real ones, when in actual fact he's put his real ones in the front. Maybe that was mind games, maybe not, but in any case the EMP would have hit all 4 of them anyway, so probably still better to have them in the back. And a lash coming down on a HK, which ordinarily doesn't actually feel that good because you have to spend so much energy of your Nova on a 175 investment from the enemy team, so it doesn't feel that good when you could get like a Colossus or something. But with the Observer farm, actually, you don't really care that you spend that energy on the 175. So that is the huge difference now with the Nova. It is a lot more potent, and it doesn't involve waiting around for the energy nearly as much as before, where you'd have to be very careful, and you would actually, to the point that you would say, don't get a Nova if your enemy's gone HK, get double ghost so you can EMP them, because a Nova's not going to be able to deal with them enough with the energy he has in lashes. So the game's definitely changed with the Observer change. Just a small change, and it's a huge difference. Esko actually loses one of his Colossi. For some reason, that's 550. Why is that so much? I wonder. Is it because it's bought the upgrade that it increases in bounty? But that's an enormous amount of bounty. Using the double bounty rule, it would be 1,100 worth of investment that you've killed in order to get such an enormous bounty. Yeah, but yeah, very strange there. So yeah, so because it's got the ulti, I mean that's fair enough because of course you get the upgrade. Yeah, so you get the upgrade and it's worth more because you've invested so much into it, so it's technically a much larger investment. That makes sense, sort of, but the rebuy cost of the Colossus doesn't match that. So I guess the argument would be you need to increase the rebuy cost of the Colossus to 550 after you get the ultimate upgrade to match the bounty that it gives to other players. Yeah. So, but then of course you probably wouldn't bother buying the upgrades. Although Frenzy and Clone are really good, if it means an extra 200 200 bounty each, so 400 bounty to revive them, then it's probably not going to be worth it. It's not like the Frenzy and the Clone Morph is as good as upgrading a Ghost to a Nova, which is like a whole world of difference in what they can do. Yeah, that's right. Again, yeah. So we've got another pause happening. 5 minutes is a very long time. So who said be right back? Fluffy. Fluffy's gone for 5 minutes. Okay. Would you rather take a base walk back to the back or go flying to the knee? Well, if you lose the capacity of your knee, then you're going to be like walking funny for a very long time, perhaps forever, because knees, you know, it's based on cartilage, and once that's gone, it's very difficult to replace. Although I believe you can replace it. I don't think you'd be able to do have an athlete performance. And a baseball bat to the back, it's a huge back surface area. Depends, if it hits the spine and you get paralyzed for life, that doesn't sound too good. So the risk reward from either could be like really nothing, and like, okay, I just got a bruised knee now. Yeah, kind of depends. It's not really a hard choice. It's just that the hypothetical is very uninformed. It's like saying, would you rather have a blue pill or a green pill? And without knowing what the pills are, like in this case, you don't know how strong the guy's hitting you with. You know, the chances of getting paralyzed as opposed to just walking funny or not walking properly with the knee. Yeah. I don't really care about how much it hurts because that'll be over in like 5 minutes. It's more important of like if you're able to function properly afterwards. That's way more important than the pain. A shot of diarrhea or make out with a guy. Well, that's just retarded. Again, you don't know how much diarrhea you're drinking. You don't know how long you're gonna be making out with a guy for. But I think most people would make out with a guy. There's loads of gay for payers. That's called. I watched a documentary of Louis Theroux about that. People that aren't gay but go into like gay porn. That's right. A real man takes all. The Danish way. That includes animals. Yeah, Can is smoking. You'd rather actually drink diarrhea than make it. I mean, making it out of a guy doesn't make you gay. I mean, I guess it depends. If you're making it out of a guy in like Saudi Arabia or like Iraq, then yeah, you take the diarrhea shot. But if it's like in the US where Rainer is from, I don't think making it out of a guy would have too many repercussions. Okay, Red's doing the 3 and then unpause. Yeah, but it might not shatter your spine and make you disabled. It might just hit a large surface area and do no permanent damage. It's just really uninformed hypotheticals. They're not very useful. It doesn't really tell you much about anything. So Excal, by the looks of this dot on the map here, is a medevac ready to drop Fluffy and take that compound out if he notices that this army is getting too confident trying to take mid or whatnot, and this Teddy is out of position. This Raven is about to die. Yeah, look at that. One-shotted from the Teddy, who's doing how much damage? We're talking 240 damage now. And 4 attacks. So 480, 960 damage against air. that Teddy is doing, and 900 damage against ground, so about 900 damage ground and air. It's got 2 attacks against ground, 4 attacks against air. That doesn't make much of a difference except versus PDDs. The more attacks, the less effective the PDD is, and apart from that, it doesn't really have much of a difference because armor doesn't really apply to 460 damage. You're never going to get 400 armor, so the attacks doesn't really matter. Whereas on a zealot or something, it's got 2 attacks, so armor is twice as effective on the zealot as it would have been if it just had double damage and less attacks and only 1 attack. A nuke coming out from Andrew, ready to nuke this base, but like I said, the AoE isn't there, so yeah, it barely hit anything, even though the original nuke on the Nova would have killed everything. The AoE was enormous on it, but actually able to kill a HK and a chunk of the army there, because Lord Marshall didn't really, I don't think he realised that it was a nuke immediately after the first one, which is unusual for a player to just sit there and just keep nuking everything. And the radius, the range on the nuke is quite nice as well. It's quite a distance there. Actually almost able to kill this photon cannon with a nuke, which itself is worth what is it, 100 on this map or 75? Let's see. Yeah, okay, it's worth 75, half of the nuke's value. And you can see there another 75 went down, so that's the oh my gosh, that is an enormous impact. And that was a photon cannon that died there. So actually these 2 ghosts from Fluffy able to able to right click down, oh Excal, what are you doing? Able to right click down both Colossi on like red health, on no health, and then before Excal actually realized and scanned, it was such a such a ballsy move that Excal didn't expect that there could possibly be 2 ghosts stood in his army right clicking down his Colossi. You're so overconfident that your opponent doesn't even expect that you could do that. Yeah, that's right. They had like absolutely like 1 bar health or red health, and just right clicking down. Oh wow, actually these are Mama Dalton's Mama Dalton's ghosts there with plus 13 hero damage. And oh no, it was Fluffy's one, of course, not Mama Dalton's. Mama Dalton has the Teddy, but actually Can again. Oh Jesus Christ, when did this happen? Sea Lord lost his CC and Merc compound. I'm guessing to a big drop from the bottom right team. But actually, really interesting. They don't have medevacs. Oh, they do have a medevac. Okay, so there is a medevac from Rainer Man. And actually there's quite a lot of mass here, so it's interesting. Where was this army when the CC was taken out? Didn't even notice. There's just quite a bit going on at the moment with all of these ghost shenanigans. But yeah, Can actually doing the same sort of Fluffy boldness of walking his ghosts in and just double sniping 2 ghosts from Fluffy and then recalling out. So big boo-boos from Team 1 and Team 2 against double ghost play, and Can really being the only player that managed to kill a bunch of things and get away with it. But actually, with the Colossus bounty change, killing 2 Colossus now, 1100 bounty. That's an enormous amount of bounty. That's more than you would get for an Archon, or for a Queen. It's more than an ultimate to kill both of them. So perhaps the bounty should change actually to reflect the fact that you count 2 Colossi as an ultimate, as an Archon or something. So in that case, it would be a 1000 bounty, 500 each. And you see the 75 there, that's from an Obs that was immediately taken out by this Teddy. Teddy, obviously does have his uses, cannot get lashed that easily, doesn't really get double sniped, I think. Does have the shield and will decimate any air units around. But one thing I would be worried about is leaving it out in the open there, because he doesn't have much chase. I mean, he's got these stalkers, but I think they've fallen behind in strength quite a lot. Excal 25k. Like I said, we're looking at the bounties now, but it's very difficult to say. Apart from Can and Sea Lord, who are very far behind the others, and Sea Lord doesn't actually have a CC anymore. The others, it's very difficult to say how much their armies are worth, whether they're making the right decision. Rain has changed to temples. Again, very difficult to say if that's a worthwhile swap, a worthwhile change, because it's not about the armies really anymore. But tank does go down from Fluffy, second tank does go down from Fluffy. The two Thors basically just walking in there and killing them. But a big surround now coming in. Rain has decided to stand still for a lot of time. I'm not sure why. And Fluffy's left his base quite open, and I cannot see his Teddy, so I'm going to guess that Rainer actually... that Andrew lashed it. But actually Andrew's full in energy, so unless you use an obs, it was Can. Yeah, I mean, Can's got an enormous amount of bounty, so I'm guessing that was actually a double snipe from Can, killing the Odin from the Teddy. And actually, a nuke coming down on X-Cow and a nuke coming down on Fluffy. But the ghost died, I think. 2 ghosts died, I think, actually from the nuke itself. Because, of course, you know, everybody's got a ton of hero damage in this game. Anti-air turret went down, I think, to try and deal with these Colossi from Fluffy, but immediately gets decimated by this huge quadruple Colossus DPS, plus Phantom Mass, plus Marine Mass. Yeah, quite a lot happening. And actually, Andrew's Nova, with plus 16 damage, has 200